of the high school football is in the books, and there were some really good games last night that took off, and we'll look at the scores here in just a second. I'm trying to get this thing going on YouTube. I forgot to hit go live. There we go. I'm on YouTube now. There we go. Let's go through the scores from last night. Ashland over Raceland 28-7. Boyd County blanks South Point 38-0. Greenup County handles Coal Grove 37-14. East Carter 36-0 win over Estill County. We'll talk with Tim Champlin here in just a few moments. Alex Roy's first game as a head coach in Fairview, and the boys from the Wood go to Owingsville and knock off Bath County 32-22. Fleming County falls to Lexington Lafayette 27-14. It was Madison Central over Johnson Central 25-14. Nicholas County beats up on Lewis County 44-34. Morgan County outlasts East Ridge for a home opener win for the Cougars 14-6. Painesville hammers Floyd Central 46-6. It was Pike Central coming from behind to beat West Carter 20-14. Scott Grizzle, in his new tenure there with Pike County Central, gets the win. Corbin over Pikeville 22-7, and it was Mason County defeating Russell 21-12. One of the game that was also final, Lawrence County defeated Rowan County last night. So that's all the scores from around week number 1. Again, our weekly football banter over on Coolhits1057.com. Spencer Hutchison, Jacob Hankins, and myself, each Thursday our picks will be released. You can go to the website. As soon as you go to the website, there's a pop-up right there. Just click on it. It takes you right to the banter. And then when you pull the banter up, you can put your email in, and it will automatically send that to you each Thursday morning. We drop them every Thursday at 10 o'clock. It'll drop it right there in your inbox, and you can get it. We do not sell your email addresses. There's no spam that's going to come from it or anything of that nature, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just our senseless picks of us trying to figure out who we think is going to win each and every week. So after Tim Champlin, we're going to talk with Tom Hammond. Tom Hammond worked with NBC Sports covering the Breeders' Cup, went on to become a very storied broadcaster, worked some Olympics. He worked with NBC Sports doing basketball, SEC Network. He has a new book that he has released, and he's going to be in Ashland next Friday night to do a book signing at Broadway Books. The book's called Races, Games, and Olympic Dreams, A Sportscaster's Life. So we'll talk with him and all the stuff that kind of led him to where he is from this point as a broadcaster. We'll check scores around Major League Baseball and, of course, the Borders Sporting Goods Rant of the Week. I need to see your ID, please. You'll love this one. All right, let's take a break. We come back. Tim Champlin's in from East Carter. We'll talk some Raiders football after this here on Let's Talk Sports on the Kool Sports Network.
If you're looking for a complete discount pharmacy with old-fashioned service and excellent prices, look no more. Since 1979, Stultz Pharmacy has provided our area with the finest in pharmacy care, 24-hour emergency prescription service, free delivery, and drive-through service for prescriptions. Stultz Pharmacy continues to fill all of your expectations. They carry a nice selection of gift items. For hometown service, see the professionals at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup. More than you expect from a pharmacy.
Stultz Pharmacy.
River Cities Builders is a licensed general contractor specializing in commercial and industrial projects, and they have a history and reputation of providing top-notch expertise through their experienced and devoted workforce. River Cities Builders also is a gas facility maintenance company offering petroleum equipment maintenance and EMV compliant upgrades for smart payment terminals, and they offer 24 hours, 7 days a week emergency service. Call 606-473-4112 or visit rivercitiesbuildersinc.com.
Quality Marathon gasoline, great monthly specials on snacks and beverages, and fantastic service. Those are the qualities of Clark's Pump and Shops. You'll find a Clark's Pump and Shop near you in the Bluegrass State and beyond. And Rick and Brent Clark want you to know that they take pride in giving you the best prices and service, and they thank you for your patronage. Clark's Pump and Shops are a division of the John W. Clark Oil Company. Clark's Pump and Shops. Return. Refresh. Refuel.
J.D. Flooring, 2017 Ashland Road, Greenup, has been family-owned and operated for over 30 years, featuring top-of-the-line material, guaranteed installation, and absolutely no one can beat J.D. Flooring's price. Need to replace your current flooring in one room or the entire house? Call J.D. Flooring in Greenup, 606-473-0411 for a free estimate. A call can get your house ready for any occasion. You'll absolutely love your new flooring from JD Flooring, 2017 Ashland Road, Greenup.
Kool, the greatest songs, 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports on the Kool Sports Network. Let's go to the phone lines. It's not Layla. It's Tim Champlin. He's the head coach for these Carter Raiders. Big win for the Raiders last night over Estill County, 36-0. Coach, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, James. How are you?
A little weary-eyed. I think you probably right there with me and stuff. I know you guys always celebrate and do some breakdown of film afterwards, so I know you had a late night as well. But welcome to football season, right? Week 1, always a good way to start off with a victory.
Yes, it's definitely always good to start off with a victory and come out playing fast and aggressive like I felt like we played last night. So it's always good to get off on that foot and get rolling.
You know, I came up I think it was in August, did some interviews with you and some of the guys and stuff. And I know one of the things when I talked with Quentin, he felt like that there was another kind of chapter of the playbook that opened up this year whenever you guys started adding in some wrinkles that were some design plays for him to run the football, to be able to move the ball around through the air. And he said he kind of looked a little weird when they said, we're going to give you some design runs and stuff. But how much have you watched his development over the last couple of games he had as a sophomore, then all of last season, and now last night?
Yeah, he's definitely grown in maturity and decision-making ability. You know, first time you step on the field, especially in that quarterback position, things are going really, really fast. And so it was try to keep it simple for him and not give him a ton of reads, not give him a ton of responsibility, to slowly kind of giving him the keys to the offense. And by the end of last year, he was, he was running the show. He had the ability to get us in and out of plays, to make reads and that kind of thing. And so it's just pick up from there and continue to build with him and his experience and his maturity.
When you have that ability with your quarterback, a guy who kind of drives the ship, if you will, knowing that he's got all of these offensive playmakers around him, but when you have a way to add another piece to that puzzle, how much more does that force defenses to not just to be able to sell out and trying to stop your run or trying to take away your deep ball, because they know if you try to take away one or two things, you've got a guy that can beat you with his feet?
Yeah, it does. It makes you play the entire width of the field and the entire length of the field. So, it doesn't allow everybody to get their eyes on landing or foul and just react to wherever they go, because now we have the ability to come out the backside and run with Clinton, or we still have some RPO reads and some receivers that can make some plays out there. So it was the game of football. It's where it shifted to. Used to you played 11 defenders and 10 offensive guys with quarterback always just handing us off, and now we've evolved to it's you have to defend all 11, and so. It definitely makes it harder on defenses, but we just want to try to build on it each and every week and see where it takes.
Having the ability, as you were talking about with the RPO, with a guy like Quentin who has good speed, and I talked with him, again, the game of basketball, he said, that he kind of goes right out of football into basketball, and he said it just helped his conditioning so much. But having him to understand how to make that proper read, knowing when to leave it in the belly of the running back, knowing when to pull it late and get that outside corner. How much have you watched his development through that game?
Oh, a ton, and not only the read, this decision-making in the read, but the decision-making in the down and distance. I've got him in the film room several times and been like, why didn't you pull this and throw it? And he just looks at you and says, Coach, I gave it to Landon Yoke. We needed 2 yards on a third down. Hey, man, great decision. That's probably the right decision. And so just his decision-making ability overall as far as RPOs go, as far as game management and that kind of thing, I think we've seen a real big step from him, and hopefully we can continue to build on that and utilize that.
You bring up a great point there when you talk about, why did you not throw that? And he's like, well, I've got Landon Yoke. Yeah, when you've got Landon Yoke standing behind you and you need 2 yards, you like your odds there, and that's one of the things. Landon is a huge safety net for you guys, and what he has become after last season. I know we talked in the preseason. You said you thought it was maybe running back by committee, and Landon made it real quick to known he was the committee. But how big is that, having a guy like him with the athletic ability he has at the running back position?
Oh, it's huge, and it's not just his athletic ability, but it's his field vision, his ability to cut, and his ability to stay up. Man, he makes a play last night. I haven't watched it yet on film, but I would go out on a limb and say it's top 10 ESPN Sports Center play. He gets suplexed over, somehow gets his hand on the ground, keeps his knees up, and never goes down. And so, obviously, they blow it dead because it looks like he goes down. But his ability to stay up. He's always fighting for that extra yard, and he's just a hard kid to tackle. Runs hard, runs violent, and so having that type of runner back there with the some speed and quickness and agility really is a good safety net. It's one of those things that we always know that he's there. We get him the ball, and we're probably going to get a couple when he touches it.
What was something last night that you found about your team that you didn't know or maybe didn't expect to see after those first 2 preseason scrimmages?
2 things. I thought our defense played relentless last night. They were flying to the football, gang tackling. We played with a ton of speed on defense, I felt like, and reactionary, very, very well reacting to the football and what the offense was trying to do to us. Graduate 9 of 11 on defense, and then coming out and playing that way last night was a major step forward for us. And then, we found a couple guys, we knew Rylan Fowle was a kid that we wanted to get the ball to on Jed and on the edge and let his speed go to work. And he gets a touchdown last night running a stretch play. But he also gets about an 80-yard touchdown pass, catching the ball down the sideline. So, I think we get him the ability to where he can go split out and catch passes and run the football. Now he becomes a major threat to people because he can hurt you horizontally and vertically from one position. And so you got to figure out, how you want to cover him and take guys out of the box and do some stuff there. And then the last thing, felt like we found some pieces in our O-line that we were missing due to graduation, and really felt like we had some guys step up last night and play really big for us on the offensive line.
When you talk about you got 9 of your 11 guys that departed off the defensive side due to graduation, was that a major area of concern going in, or did you see things that you really liked to see through camp and through those 2 preseason games that maybe you felt a little bit more at ease before the game started?
Well, in December, it was a major concern. It's one of those things that you enjoyed the year. It was a great year, great run, and you go to the banquet and you see all those guys graduating, and you start to kind of panic about the next year. We were going into January with the idea that we're graduating 9 of 11, but we'd played several guys that had got varsity minutes and that type of thing, and so we felt like we had some guys that could step up. But there's always a couple missing pieces that you're going to have to try to figure out, and we felt really good coming out of camp, coming out of our preseason games, that we had found some of those positions. And so after last night, I really think made us feel really good about our defensive unit and who we put on the field, and felt like they played really well together.
Offensively, who were some guys, or the guy that really stood out to you last night was maybe one of those guys that you had penciled in of you're hoping to see some glimmers of hope from them this year to give you some contributions, and they kind of excelled that expectation?
I'm gonna name our scores, and I'm probably gonna get it wrong, but not one guy scored all of our touchdowns last night. Lane Yoke had one, Rylan Fowle had two, Eric Ballou had one, Deshaun Beeson had one. So, just the ability to be able to spread the ball out like that, get four different guys in the end zone, it was really big for us, and kind of had some guys step up, make some plays offensively, running the ball, that gave us, coaches, okay, well, we've got other guys that we can use for counters or for stretches or whatever, so that, Lehman doesn't have to touch it 30 sometimes a game, and we can kind of keep him fresh. And then, a name that we've all knew was going to play well for us, has played well so far. Alan Cooper played unbelievable last night on the offensive line and defensive line for us. Had a couple sacks, tackles for losses on the defensive line, and just wreaked havoc over there. And then offensively, he's the guy that we're going to try to run behind. 6'6", 280, moves well. He's the cat we want to get behind, and so did some really, really good things for us on both sides of the ball.
Looking at your district, again, a very popular district, 6 teams in the mix there, but you were the only team last night that came away with a victory. How big is that, knowing that, again, this was not district seeding games last night, but it kind of puts you a little bit ahead of the curve of the other guys that's hanging in behind you?
I don't know. I mean, it's always good to get a win early and get some momentum and feel good about yourself. But I know Fleming played a tough 6A Lafayette team. Russell went up to Mason County, a very athletic football team. So it wasn't like our district was playing nobody. I think they were playing good opponents and good competition, and that's what we're all trying to do right now is to get better and fix our mistakes, so that when we do start district play, that we're all ready to go.
You look at your game Friday night. You head on the road for the first time this season. You go to Rowan County and Kelly Ford's Vikings. What do you like to see from your team from that week 1 to week 2? And as you hear so many coaches talk about, that's where they find out what their team is really made of.
Yeah, it's going to be a completely different mindset for our team. Estill County was a downhill, big, physical, run right at you kind of team, and Rowan County's not. They are fast and athletic, and they want to get the ball on the edges, and they want to throw screens, and they want to get the ball outside with stretch and toss and those kinds of things. And so, it's going to kind of let us know where we're at. We're going to get both worlds back to back, and so felt like we handled the right at you run team pretty well. Now it's got to go. Can we run side to side? Can we keep our angles? Can we keep our fits together as the field widens and they're trying to stretch us out? So really want to see us continue to play defensively with the same effort and same aggressiveness and intensity, and then offensively, can we change up our game plan? Are we able to attack the middle? Are we able to still throw the ball? With all those speed guys out there and move the ball around like we were this week.
Coach, always a pleasure. Great start to your 24 campaign with a win last night. We'll talk to you this week over in Moorhead.
All right, I appreciate you guys, and thanks. And as always, go Raiders.
Head coach Tim Champlin from East Carter. We'll talk to you soon. We'll take a break. We come back. We'll check scores around Major League Baseball and that wild card standings. Boy, they're heating up. Some teams have really played themselves into position. Some have played themselves out. We'll check the standings when we return after this on Let's Talk Sports on the Kool Sports Network.
If you're looking for a complete discount pharmacy with old-fashioned service and excellent prices, look no more. Since 1979, Stultz Pharmacy has provided our area with the finest in pharmacy care, 24-hour emergency prescription service, free delivery, and drive-through service for prescriptions. Stultz Pharmacy continues to fill all of your expectations. They carry a nice selection of gift items. For hometown service, see the professionals at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup. More than you expect from a pharmacy.
Stultz Pharmacy.
River Cities Builders is a licensed general contractor specializing in commercial and industrial projects, and they have a history and reputation of providing top-notch expertise through their experienced and devoted workforce. River Cities Builders also is a gas facility maintenance company offering petroleum equipment maintenance and EMV compliant upgrades for smart payment terminals, and they offer 24 hours, 7 days a week emergency service. Call 606-473-4112 or visit rivercitiesbuildersinc.com.
Quality Marathon gasoline, great monthly specials on snacks and beverages, and fantastic service. Those are the qualities of Clark's Pump and Shops. You'll find a Clark's Pump and Shop near you in the Bluegrass State and beyond. And Rick and Brent Clark want you to know that they take pride in giving you the best prices and service, and they thank you for your patronage. Clark's Pump and Shops are a division of the John W. Clark Oil Company. Clark's Pump and Shops. Return, refresh, refuel.
JD Flooring, 2017 Ashland Road, Greenup, has been family owned and operated for over 30 years, featuring top-of-the-line material, guaranteed installation, and absolutely no one can beat JD Flooring's price. Need to replace your current flooring in one room or the entire house? Call JD Flooring in Greenup, 606-473-0411 for a free estimate. A call can get your house ready for any occasion. You'll absolutely love your new flooring from JD Flooring, 2017 Ashland Road, Greenup. Cool Hits Weather is brought to you by Big Sandy Superstores of the Tri-State. For all your furniture and appliance needs, see Big Sandy today.
Cool Hits Weather.
Look for sunshine for your Saturday. We'll have a high today of 90, clear tonight, low dropping near 60. We'll see mostly sunny skies on Sunday, high of 92. Sunday night, see a few clouds roll in, low of 65.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Big thanks to Tim Champlin on the other side of the break, talking some Raiders football. East Carter with a nice start to the 24 campaign, a 36-0 stomping of Estill County. They'll be over in Moorhead on Friday night. We'll have coverage of that game in some form or fashion. We're still working out a few things because that game's going to play at Moorhead State. It's not going to be at Brown County High School. So we're trying to work out a few things. We'll pass that along once we've got it. Again, I haven't got the schedule up on the website yet. I'm working on it this weekend. It's been a crazy week this week, as you can expect, getting everything going back with sports and then, of course, back to school for me as well. So I'll get all the schedules up there, but you can go to our website, Quits1057.com. Also, the statistics section will start to populate in this coming week as well. So we'll have volleyball, boys and girls soccer, and football. We'll have all of that there on the website. Just click on, once you go to Quits1057.com, right there at the top, you'll have the statistics category, you'll have the sports calendar, and then the blog. And the blog takes you to the weekly football banter where Spencer Hutchinson, Jacob Hankins, and myself will make our picks each and every week. And you're welcome to chime in as you wish and stuff. That's always fun to do. I'm surprised I've not heard from my buddy Travis Skaggs up in Maysville after making the pick of Russell over Mason County. Because, I mean, as soon as it dropped, it was on Twitter. Cool Hits guys make their picks. And it's, that Russell Mason County game that they tagged there. And it was usually when it's wrong, we hear from it. So we'll see. I'm sure there's something coming from it from there. All right, let's go around Major League Baseball last night. The Cincinnati Reds, my God, they gave away a perfect game and handed it to the bullpen and gave up a 5-run lead. They were up 5-0. They lose in Pittsburgh 6-5. And here's the thing I'm ticked off about the Cincinnati Reds about, okay? After they went on that big winning streak, pushed themselves into the second place in the Central, had themselves in the conversation for wild card. Then they had a 3-game series with Kansas City, okay? The Boston Red Sox had Houston. Of course, I'm a Red Sox guy. So we lose 2 out of 3 to Houston, which sucked in itself. But Kansas City's right there ahead of Boston in those wild card standings. And what Cincinnati do? They go back to the Deads and got swept. And they went from second place to last place. I'm done with them. There's zero chance. The Reds were mathematically eliminated in April because they started playing, okay? But they are terrible. I am so ticked off about the Reds. It's like you got one flipping job to do. You had a major winning streak going, and then you played a real team, and what happened? You got stomped. All these, I think, were at home, too, by the way. But last night up in Pittsburgh at PNC, Reds give up a 5-0 lead. They're deads. They are dead. They're like the Reds are in the same category to me with UK. Okay? It's like I just loathe the Cincinnati Reds. And I couldn't imagine being a Reds fan. I mean, it's got to suck being a Reds fan because you just get all of your hopes and dreams. Like one of my colleagues at work, she's a diehard Reds fan. And I looked at her after I said, I hate your team. Like, you had one stinking job to do. Just win a couple. No, you get swept. And it wasn't even close. And she's like, I know. And I was like, yep, here we go. We talked about them, and they were on that winning streak, and then they have to do something big. And what do they do? Lay an egg. There you go. Listen, David Bell, I have been a proponent of that guy for everything that he does. He either needs to step up or get out because he's had the opportunities. And it's the expectations that is set for that team is a 500 team. And that's the expectations. And it's like the old saying is, aim low, they're riding Shetland ponies. Well, that's where David Bell is now. Don't aim for the ceiling. Just, aim low. They're riding those little tiny ponies. It's okay. We'll hang around 500 and be happy. That is not acceptable. And as much as David Bell has done that has been big for the Cincinnati Reds, I think it's to the point now you need to make that next step forward or you're just sitting there getting worse. Either get in or get out. That's where the Reds are going to have to go. But the problem of it is, it doesn't just start there. It's the ownership. The ownership of the Cincinnati Reds is a joke. It has been for many, many years. But for the Reds fans out there, I'm sorry. Man, I mean, it's got to be miserable because in April, your team sucks, and it's going nowhere good. And every time it does go somewhere good, it goes bad. And it goes bad at the worst possible time. Either way. Other notes real quick out of the Reds. Former Reds great Joey Votto, who the Reds screwed over, by the way, by not re-signing him, at least keeping him in Cincinnati for his entire career. Had the shoulder injury, bounced around in the minors a little bit with Toronto. He announced earlier this week he's done. He has retired. So, the thing that the Reds should have done in that situation, they should have signed him to a one-day contract, let him come back to Cincinnati and retire a Red. But, hey, that makes too much sense. That's Cincinnati. Orioles over the Astros 7-5. That was a big win for the O's up in Camden Yards. A Adam Santander grand salami gets the win for the Orioles as they try to stay with pace with the Yankees in the American League East. Speaking of the Yankees, they blanked the Rockies 3-0 in the Bronx last night. It was the Blue Jays over the Angels 5-4. D-backs hammer my Red Sox. My God, the Red Sox, they're dead, okay? They're still there. It's like they can reach and see that last wild card spot. They're done. They are so bad. Their pitching staff, especially when it gets to the bullpen, it's terrible. For the love of God, we did 2 trades at the deadline, and we bring a dead arm out of Anaheim, and we got Lucas Sims for the Reds. And I'm like, wow, we're bringing a relief pitcher from the Cincinnati Reds in. That tells you where we are. This is awful. But, yeah, Brian Bayo gets absolutely touched up, as always. This kid had one good season. The Red Sox threw all this crazy money at him because they started anointing him as the next Pedro Martinez. And he's not Pedro Martinez. He's not even close. Because the one thing he doesn't have that Pedro had is the mentality. He is a mental midget on the mound. When things go wrong, he starts pouting and acting like a 2-year-old. But last night, he gets absolutely roughed up. D-backs with 16 hits, 12 runs, as the Red Sox lose at home again. I'm tired of saying that. Cancel the rest of the season at Fenway. Go on the road because you guys are terrible at home. But it's just been so painful because it was right there for the getting, and they can't take it. Rangers over the Guardians 5-3. Cubbies double up the Marlins 6-3 in Miami. Braves won better than the Nationals 3-2. Raisel Iglesias picks up the win. He's 3-1 on the year. Cardinals over the Twins 6-1. Royals win again. They're over the Phillies. That's a big series right there. If you're the Royals, this is where you want to find out where you are. Playing one of the top teams in the National League. There you go. 7-4 win last night in Kansas City. Tigers over the White Sox 5-2. Padres dumped the Mets 7-0. It was the Brew Crew over the Athletics 11-3. Mariners over the Giants 6-5 in 10 innings. And the Dodgers over the Rays 7-3. Standings around the league. In the American League, Yankees with the best record in the American League, 76-53, a game and a half in front of the Baltimore Orioles. Red Sox are 8 back into the division at 67-60. Guardians a 1-game lead over Kansas City. They are at 73-55. Kansas City 72-56. Minnesota's 2 back. All of a sudden, the Central, which looked like the Guardians were going to flex their muscle and take off, it's turned into a 3-team race. In the West, Houston a 4.5-game lead in front of Seattle. That's pretty much it. Texas 9 games under 500. They're pretty much out of the conversation. They're at 9.5 off the pace. In the National League East, the Phillies are trying to hold off the surging Atlanta Braves. The cooled-off New York Mets, they're 7.5 back. Atlanta 5 off of the pace. So that's going to be a little bit of maybe a tighter race than some would have thought, as the Phillies had opened up a double-digit lead going into the All-Star break. Milwaukee with a double-digit lead over the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis 10 off the pace, Cubbies 10.5, Reds 12.5, Pittsburgh 13. Reds will be in the basement by the end of the weekend, don't worry. Dodgers' best record in baseball, 77-52. They've won 5 consecutive, 7 of their last 10. They've opened up a 4-game lead over Arizona, 4.5 over San Diego. On the wild card, here's where it stands. Yankees, Guardians, Astros. Those are your 1, 2, and 3. Baltimore, Kansas City, Minnesota. That's 4, 5, and 6. Red Sox 3.5 off the pace. Seattle 6.5. I don't think it's anything other than Boston, and other than Kansas City or Minnesota playing themselves out of this conversation, I'm not so far to say that the American League playoffs aren't set. In the National League, Dodgers, Brewers, Phillies. That's 1, 2, and 3. Diamondbacks, Padres, Braves. 4, 5, and 6. You've got the Mets that are 2.5 games behind the Braves. San Francisco and St. Louis on life support at 5 behind. I don't think that that's even in the conversation. All of a sudden, after we had so many teams in the conversation National League, in about 2 weeks, we're down to where I'm comfortable saying this is a 7-team race for 6 spots in the postseason on both sides. The Mets and the Red Sox are the only 2 teams I think that have a legitimate shot of reaching out and making a chance. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Tom Hammond. He worked with NBC Sports doing a lot of their Breeders' Cup coverage. He's worked with NBC Sports as a basketball announcer, the SEC Network. He's got a new book coming out, Races, Games, and Olympic Dreams, A Sportscaster's Life. We'll talk with Mark when we return after this here on Let's Talk Sports on the Kool Sports Network.
If you're looking for a complete discount pharmacy with old-fashioned service and excellent prices, look no more. Since 1979, Stultz Pharmacy has provided our area with the finest in pharmacy care, 24-hour emergency prescription service, free delivery, and drive-through service for prescriptions. Stultz Pharmacy continues to fill all of your expectations. They carry a nice selection of gift items. For hometown service, see the professionals at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup. More than you expect from a pharmacy.
Stultz Pharmacy.
River Cities Builders is a licensed general contractor specializing in commercial and industrial projects, and they have a history and reputation of providing top-notch expertise through their experienced and devoted workforce. River Cities Builders also is a gas facility maintenance company offering petroleum equipment maintenance and EMV compliant upgrades for smart payment terminals, and they offer 24 hours, 7 days a week emergency service. Call 606-473-4112 or visit rivercitiesbuildersinc.com.
Quality Marathon Gasoline. Great monthly specials on snacks and beverages and fantastic service. Those are the qualities of Clark's Pump and Shops. You'll find a Clark's Pump and Shop near you in the Bluegrass State and beyond. And Rick and Brent Clark want you to know that they take pride in giving you the best prices and service, and they thank you for your patronage. Clark's Pump and Shops are a division of the John W. Clark Oil Company. Clark's Pump and Shops. Return. Refresh. Refuel.
JD Flooring, 2017 Ashland Road, Greenup, has been family owned and operated for over 30 years, featuring top-of-the-line material, guaranteed installation, and absolutely no one can beat JD Flooring's price. Need to replace your current flooring in one room or the entire house? Call JD Flooring in Greenup, 606-473-0411 for a free estimate. A call can get your house ready for any occasion. You'll absolutely love your new flooring from JD Flooring, 2017 Ashland Road, Greenup.
The Tri-States Cool Hits 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports on the Kool Hits Sports Network. Let's go to the phone lines. Joining us there, he is the author of the book Races, Games, Olympic Dreams, A Sportscaster's Life. from Lexington, Kentucky. Tom Hammond's in. Tom, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, James. How's it going?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for joining us this morning. Let's talk a little bit about this upcoming book. You've got a book signing coming up here in Ashland next Friday night at Broadway Books. An exciting time for you. Tell us a little bit about the book and how it became a part.
Exciting time, but also a little frightening because you talk about some things in the book that you don't really talk about normally, so it's a little bit frightening as well. But we launched the book this past week, and it went well, so I'm excited about it. I wrote it with Mark Story of the Lexington Herald-Leader, and for years people have said to me, you should write a book. When I start telling stories or if I speak to a group, you should write a book. Well, when I retired after the Winter Olympics in 2018, I just needed to decompress for a while. I wasn't willing to take on a big project like that. And the University of Kentucky was after me to do an oral history. So finally I said, all right, I'll do that. And I got this idea that if I could get Mark to sign on to the program, and he did, that he would do the interviews of me for the oral history, and we would take that transcript and make it the basis for the book. And so he would take the transcript and write a chapter as he saw it, and then I would look at it and tweak it a little bit, and that was the book. We did it, together, and it's out there and ready to go.
You started your career with NBC Sports as a freelancer back in '84 covering the Breeders' Cup, and they fell in love with you, and that was where it took off. But looking at your history from there, when you started this business, this was not something that was kind of an aspiration for you. You did not have thoughts and dreams of being a broadcaster when things started.
Far from it. In fact, I majored in animal science at UK. I thought I would go into the thoroughbred horse business. I worked at Belmont Park in Saratoga as a groom in the summertime, trying to round out my education. But when I graduated, I couldn't find a very good job. So not knowing what else to do, I went to graduate school and also started doing some pedigree research for a man named Tom Gentry, who had a horse farm here. And he had a get-together one time, and one of the people there, Dave Hooper, was being transferred by his primary employer the day they were racing for him, and he couldn't find anyone to take his place on this race results show. Every night he read the results of thoroughbred racing from around the country, because in those days, before you could get the information at the move of mouse, you had to wait till the next day to get the information on how your horse had done in the races today, unless you listened to this program. So, not knowing what else to do and not having a job, I said, I bet I could do that. And so he said, fine. They didn't have any other choices. See you down there at WBOK about 5 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll put you on the air. So that was it. I started doing the race results on the radio station in Lexington for the princely sum of $35 a week.
And it's funny how little things like that build those stepping stones and those building blocks for what turned out to be somewhat of a storied career for you as well. But you look at the calling of a horse race, that is not exactly a sport that you're just sitting back and kind of relaxing and watching stuff happening in front. They call it the fastest 2 minutes in sports. And, of course, for you as a rookie broadcaster, how nerve-wracking was that for you to kind of cut your teeth there in one of the fastest sports in the industry?
Yeah, it's very nerve-wracking, and the pressure is intense. I didn't really call the races at the Derby or so on thoroughbred races on NBC. I was the host of the program. But I did early in my career call some races on the radio and then in person at Churchill Downs when then announcer Chick Anderson would leave to go to the races on CBS. I would take his place. So I did call some races. And then, of course, at the Olympics, I did 13 Olympics and mostly track and field in the Summer Olympics. And so that's race calling as well. And, I'll often say that whether it's a four-legged race or a two-legged race, it's still a race. You kind of see it the same way, and you see things happening in the middle of the race that kind of portend the outcome, and hopefully you can call them and get them right. And say, too, James, that the most difficult thing that I did, and horse racing is up there because horse racing is a specialized knowledge that most sportscasters don't have, so I was lucky in that regard. But the toughest, hardest thing that I ever broadcast always was the Olympic 100-meter dash. There's no margin for error. It's over in 9 seconds, and either you call it right or you don't because you don't have time to think about it. So, just whatever reaction you see comes out of your mouth, and hopefully it'll be right. And knock on wood that through all those years of Olympic track and field, I didn't ever call the wrong 100 meters. That happened to the caller this time on NBC. He called the wrong winner. So it's a high-risk event, and it all goes back to, again, that horse racing knowledge, and that carried over for me to track and field.
And it goes back to as the preparation that you have in so many sports that you cover, especially with, basketball, football, to where you have spotting boards, you have all of these information tidbits that you want to use on this. You seriously your preparation is you have to memorize all of these runners that are on the track so that you know exactly when you make that call who that person is, because as you said, you have 9 seconds and there is zero room for error.
And what makes it more difficult, James, in horse racing, you take the silks that the jockey is wearing and you associate that with the name of the horse. That's how you're able to call the race. Well, at the Olympic 100-meter dash, let's say, there's going to be 8 runners, and 4 of them may have on the same uniform. So that's not going to help you. And you have lane assignments, but if you have to look down and count what lane they're in, the race is over. So like you say, it's high-risk endeavor. It's not easy. And they don't even set the final until they have the semifinals the same night as the finals. So you don't even know what the field is when you come to the stadium. You have to go through the semifinals, and then an hour or two later you have the finals themselves. So, yeah, it's pretty high-risk business, and that was the hardest of them all.
All of the years that you got a chance to go to the different Olympic Games that you attended, what was the one that sticks out the most to you that's probably one of the most memorable parts of your career?
The thing about it is that each of the Olympic cities had something to offer, something that made it distinctive, and then sometimes it was the quality of the competition itself. But it was so interesting to go to all these cities and spend almost a month there usually. But I guess the one that I'll always remember most of all is Beijing. It was a spectacle that we'll never see the like of again, because no one will be able to afford to put it on. But there, of course, the government was involved, and it was just epic sort of opening ceremonies, and everything was on a huge scale from start to finish. But all the cities have had something to offer. Sydney was great, Barcelona, Seoul, South Korea. The only one that really didn't live up to expectations, as far as I'm concerned, was Atlanta. Atlanta, while the competition was tremendous, the city itself, it was like going to the state fair instead of going to the Olympics. I don't know what it was, but they all have something to offer, and they make for great memories.
In your career, you spent several years working with NBC Sports doing basketball, and your colleague, one of the legendaries of the game, Bill Walton, losing Bill this year. Take me back through all of that the connection that you had with Bill, and how devastating the loss that had to be for you as a personal level.
Yeah, he became a good friend, and when we were doing basketball, NBA basketball on NBC, Bill Walton and Steve Snapper Jones, we had so much fun. I mean, we began laughing in the production meeting the day before the game, and we laughed all the way the next day on the car to the arena, and all during the game, and then after the game on the way to the airport. It was just so much fun. And Walton, of course, was a bizarre character. He's one of the unique American characters, and James have had the opportunity to work with 2 of those, Bill Walton and also Al McGuire before that. So, it was he's just a unique American character. I didn't realize how ill he was, and so his death was a shock to me. But he would call every couple of months just to say hi and say hello. Sometimes I would miss his call, and he would just say on the answering machine, back in the days when we had those, he would say, Tom, just want to tell you I love you, and then hang up. With something similar to what Al McGuire did back in earlier days, because I did the Olympics in '88 with Al McGuire, men's and women's basketball. So anyway, Bill Walton was a unique American character. His outlook on life was different from most people's. He was a Deadhead, the Grateful Dead. He went to thousands of their concerts and went on tour with them a time or two. If we were in a place where there was, like Portland or one of the places that he knew well, he would just take the day off and go hike in the mountains. He just was a unique character. And when I first started doing the threesome with he and Steve Jones, Steve Jones, of course, had known him. They were Trailblazers together, Portland Trailblazers. And Walton would say something outrageous, and then snapper would jump all over him. When I first started, I kind of just played it straight as the play-by-play man and let them do their thing. And finally, after a while, I figured for this to really work, I'm going to have to join the chorus and start jumping on Walton too. And I did, and that made it much better. And we had a great time. I once said something about Bill that I thought was a little harsh. It was in a Knicks playoff game, and we went to commercial. I said, "Bill, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that to be, sounded a little bad." And he said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "I love that." I said, "Just bring it on. We're having great fun." So that's the kind of thing it was, and he was something to behold. In the book, he wrote a blurb for the book, and it was probably one of the last things that he's written. And it's typical Walton, rambling all over the place with all kinds of platitudes and funny words and sentences and phrases. So it's really one of the highlights of the book. Mark Story, who wrote the book with me, is still just in awe of that blurb that Bill Walton wrote for our book.
So it sounds to say that exactly what you see on television, the way that Bill Walton was, that's the exact person he was in person.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, of course, in recent years, he did the Pac-10 games or Pac-12 games, whatever it is now. I can't keep track of all the conferences. But he with ESPN, and, he might do one of my favorites was when he went up to the Cow band and learned how to play the glockenspiel while the game's going on, just up there digging away on his glockenspiel, and just wild things like that. Wore his tie-dye shirts, and I have a bunch of his tie-dye shirts he gave me, as a matter of fact. I wear one occasionally, and he was an unusual broadcaster, and you either liked him or you didn't, and some didn't like that irreverent approach, but it was Bill Walton, that's for sure.
Another legend that you had the opportunity to work with and very closely related to, Dick Enberg. And anyone that's been around sports for any time, you say the words Dick Enberg, you can hear his voice. Not so much to see his face, but you understand that voice. He just had that resonating voice. What did he do for your career and having someone like that to mentor off of?
Yeah, James, he was my mentor and also became a very good friend. And I succeeded him doing a lot of the things at NBC, figure skating, track and field, just different events. And by observing him, I learned quite a lot. Sometimes you can give me a pointer or two as well. I once said to him, I'm worried about I'm a little too vanilla. And he said, vanilla goes with everything. Just remember that. So those kind of things. But mostly by observing him and the way he worked, we became really good friends. We went to Royal Ascot together one time in Top Hat and Tails. As I made a deal with him, I'd take him to Ascot if he took me to Wimbledon, where he was broadcasting. So that was a deal we made, and we just had many, many interesting, fun times together. And I first became friends with him when I worked at WLEX TV here in Lexington, where it was an NBC affiliate. And when NBC would come to town in the glory days of Billy Packer, Al McGuire, and Dick Enberg, I would try to go down the day before and tell them what I knew about the Kentucky team that might help them in the broadcast. And one of the times I was doing that, Dick said to me, my plane doesn't leave till 5 hours or so after the game is over. Is there any way you can take me to see Secretariat? And I said, well, sure. So I drove him over to Paris, Kentucky, to Claiborne Farm, and we went to Secretariat's paddock, and Seth Hancock, the president of Claiborne, joined us there. And as we stood watching Secretariat, who ambled over to us, Dick said, how can you tell if a horse is going to be great? I said, well, you really can't tell. It's all, it's all chance, but you can look at his pedigree, see what his ancestors have done, and you can look at his conformation, how he's put together. Will he be athletic? Will he be able to, stand the rigors of training and so on? But after that, it's just blind luck. And about that time, Seth Hancock said, sometimes you can see it in their eyes. Sometimes you can see it in their eyes. And when he said that, Secretariat jerked his head around and looked Dick Enberg right in the eye. And he never forgot that. That was something that he always told about his trip to Paris to see Secretariat, was that way Secretariat just jerked around and peered at him like, yes, you can see it in my eyes.
Every broadcaster has that memorable moment of some call of some event that lingers with them throughout their entire career. When you had the opportunity to sit back and reflect on yours, what was that one memorable moment that you remember that always goes back with you through no matter where it was from the beginning to the end?
You know, Mark Story always gets on me for giving away all the stories in the book, James. So, but the thing about it is that in an age of specialization, I was able to do lots of different sports, and that really kept me fresh and kept me on my toes and made it much more interesting. And each one of those kind of has a moment that was special, that will live in my mind forever. And of course, at Olympic track and field, there were numerous moments. I mean, Usain Bolt, first time he won the 100 meters in Beijing and set the world record, clowning around all the time. Eddie Freeman, the Aboriginal Australian 400-meter runner who won before 110,000 in Olympic Stadium in Sydney. Michael Johnson, the first man to win both the 400 meters and 200 meters in the first Olympics in Atlanta with the golden shoes flashing. Sarah Hughes, when she was a 16-year-old unheralded and somehow or other won the gold medal, Olympic gold medal in figure skating in Salt Lake City. And then, of course, a lot of racing memories, too, headed by American Pharoah breaking the 37-year drought in the Triple Crown by winning the Belmont Stakes. Reggie Miller, basketball player for the Pacers, in a playoff game against the Knicks, hit a three-pointer, stole the inbounds pass, took a step back behind the three-point line and hit another three, leading the Pacers to a come-from-behind victory. That was an electric moment. In Notre Dame football, which I did for years, the Bush Push, Notre Dame against USC, where Reggie Bush pushed Matt Leinart into the end zone, which was then illegal, and some other great Notre Dame games. And Notre Dame beat Florida State to take over number one, and just there's nothing like a big football game at Notre Dame. And you know, James, I did SEC basketball with Ashland's own Larry Conley for 30 years, and there were so many highlights of that too, and we had such a good time. I don't know, NFL Beastquake when Marshawn Lynch in a game of the Saints and the Seahawks ran for the Seahawks touchdown with about 8 of the Saints touching him and unable to tackle him, and the crowd was so loud that it registered on the Richter scale. So, you know, lots and lots. I could go on even more, but lots and lots of memories, and each sport sort of has its own moment.
Well, Tom, it's been a great pleasure talking with you this morning. Again, Tom and Mark will be at Broadway Books in Ashland this Friday night at 7 p.m. to sign the book, Races, Games, and Olympic Dreams, A Sportscaster's Life. Tom, I'm certainly looking forward to reading the book and hearing about all the stuff, but I greatly appreciate the time this morning. It's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure, too, James. Thank you very much. And, again, when I think of Ashland, I think of my friend Larry Conley, my best friend since we were 16 years old. So looking forward to talking about him some, too, when we do the book signing.
Absolutely. Enjoy the visit, and we will talk soon.
Okay, James. Thank you.
Take care. Tom Hammond joining us here on the show. Let's take our final break. We come back. It's the Borders Sporting Goods Rant of the Week. Can I see your ID, please? That's where we return after this here on Let's Talk Sports on the Kool Sports Network.
If you're looking for a complete discount pharmacy with old-fashioned service and excellent prices, look no more. Since 1979, Stultz Pharmacy has provided our area with the finest in pharmacy care, 24-hour emergency prescription service, free delivery, and drive-through service for prescriptions. Stultz Pharmacy continues to fill all of your expectations. They carry a nice selection of gift items. For hometown service, see the professionals at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup. More than you expect from a pharmacy.
Stultz Pharmacy.
River Cities Builders is a licensed general contractor specializing in commercial and industrial projects, and they have a history and reputation of providing top-notch expertise through their experienced and devoted workforce. River Cities Builders also is a gas facility maintenance company offering petroleum equipment maintenance and EMV-compliant upgrades for smart payment terminals, and they offer 24 hours, 7 days a week emergency service. Call 606-473-4112 or visit rivercitiesbuildersinc.com.
Quality Marathon gasoline, great monthly specials on snacks and beverages, and fantastic service. Those are the qualities of Clark's Pump and Shops. You'll find a Clark's Pump and Shop near you in the Bluegrass State and beyond. And Rick and Brent Clark want you to know that they take pride in giving you the best prices and service, and they thank you for your patronage. Clark's Pump and Shops are a division of the John W. Clark Oil Company. Clark's Pumpin' Chops. Return, refresh, refuel.
JD Flooring, 2017 Ashland Road Greenup, has been family owned and operated for over 30 years, featuring top-of-the-line material, guaranteed installation, and absolutely no one can beat JD Flooring's price. Need to replace your current flooring in one room or the entire house? Call JD Flooring in Greenup, 606-473-0411 for a free estimate. A call can get your house ready for any occasion. You'll absolutely love your new flooring from JD Flooring, 2017 Ashland Road, Greenup. Cool Hits Weather is brought to you by Big Sandy Superstores of the Tri-State. For all your furniture and appliance needs, see Big Sandy today.
Cool Hits weather.
Look for sunshine for your Saturday. We'll have a high today of 90, clear tonight, low dropping near 60. We'll see mostly sunny skies on Sunday, high of 92. Sunday night, see a few clouds roll in, low of 65.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports, a unique pleasure there talking with Tom Hammond on the other side there. He and Mark Story have authored a book, Races, Games, and Olympic Dreams, A Sportscaster's Life. They will be at Broadway Books this Friday night at 7 o'clock to sign the book. Stop by and sit. I'm certainly looking forward to reading it myself, but I think this is it's going to be a very interesting read as a sportscaster myself. So, but again, Races, Games, and Olympic Dreams, A Sportscaster's Life. It's time for the Borders Sporting Goods Rant of the Week. Borders Sporting Goods US 60 in Canonsburg for all your hunting and fishing needs, as well as the Liberty gun safes. See Brad and the gang out at Borders. They'll get you all squared away. Hunting season is starting to ramp up. A lot of those deer that are popping out, they've got antlers on top of their heads now, and it's, bow season won't be too far away. Gun season coming up there in November. Turkey season coming up as well. And then, of course, on the fishing side of things, those cool temperatures that we felt there earlier in the week when we had some 40s in the mornings, that's going to start bringing those temperatures down. Of course, when that brings those temperatures down, it brings those fish up. So exciting time for anglers and hunters coming up here in the fall. It'll be very soon, but go see Brad and the gang out there. They'll get you all squared away. Can I see your ID, please? Well, that's the topic this week. And here was the situation. So I went to my favorite store in the entire world, Wally World, and I had to stop and pick up some pain medicine. Was out at the house and so forth. So typically I use ibuprofen. My wife uses Tylenol, which is acetaminophen, but she can't take ibuprofen. So I just picked up a double pack of the acetaminophen 500 milligram capsules. So I go up to the self-checkouts, put it up there, scan it, and get ready to show my ID, and it just asks for my payment. So I was kind of perplexed for a second because there was no ID asked for acetaminophen. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't acetaminophen one of the things that they try to pull out of stuff like Sudafed to make meth? So my question is, why are you not asking for my ID? Because if I go to Walmart and I try to buy BBs to go in a BB gun, you got to be 18. If I buy spray paint, you got to be 18. I want to build a model car. I need some model car glue. Can I see your ID? You must be 18. I buy Sudafed. You're going to ask me for ID for Sudafed. It's got acetaminophen in it. But I can buy 500 milligrams of acetaminophen, and you don't ask me for my ID? What is wrong with this world? Where are we messing up? Where did we miss the connection here? You can buy the actual contents, but you can't buy the other one that has a little bit of it in it because you're going to use it to make meth. I don't understand it. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with asking for IDs on this. Why are we not asking for ID for pain medication, especially acetaminophen? I don't know. But I was just I was blown away, but I was like, okay, they always ask for ID, it seems like, for every medicine anymore. It's like, okay, no big deal. It's off the shelf, but yeah. Now, ibuprofen I get because it's an inflammatory medicine for pain medicine, but acetaminophen is just Tylenol. It's aspirin. But I was kind of blown away that didn't happen. Either way, that's the Borders Sporting Goods Rant of the Week. Big thanks to Tim Champlin from East Carter Football, as well as Tom Hammond. He and Mark Story, the authors of Races, Games, and Olympic Dreams, A Sportscaster's Life. They will be at Broadway Books this coming Friday at 7 o'clock. You can visit them and get pictures, autograph of the books, and so forth, and just talk about the stuff that Tom has in his book with all the stuff that he has been through his history and his career with NBC Sports and all the other networks that he's worked with. That's it for us this week. Week 2 of football coming up. We've got a lot of games going on this week. Check us out on YouTube at Kool TV. You can simply go to our webpage, KoolHits1057.com. There's a link right there. View on YouTube. You can find all of our games. We've got a lot of games coming up this week. Boys and girls soccer, volleyball, football on Friday night. There's a girls soccer game that just kicked off over in Grayson right now. I'm headed to Grayson. I've got 2 soccer games over there for KCU as well. All of those games can be viewed